Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is Monday, August 28th, 2017. This is the Super Organizer Show with James Lott Jr., and I am James Lott Jr., the Super Organizer. You know how that works. And I want to welcome you. It is here in LA right now. I'm looking outside my window, outside my studio, and it is still the marine layer, they call it here in LA, because I live near the beach. So I'm sure it's going to be really hot today, because it has been for the last, year. So I am assuming it will be, but right now it's just a little overcast, a little hazy. I kind of like it like this, so I can, my morning can slowly start. It's not too crazy. And I have sometimes organizing clients in the morning, and it's good weather to actually do organizing when you're outside. Whew, yeah, I'm out there when it's hot. And if you are in hot areas, be careful when you organize when it's in hot areas. If you're doing garages and sheds and things, be really careful about that, especially in scheduling. I am happy to be here today. As you guys know, there wasn't a show last week, and I will get into that in my thanks and gratitude. I'm first going to introduce my guest. And my guest has a long list of credits and certifications, and I'm very happy to have her on the show today. She is a certified professional organizer. She is a NAPO New England member. She also has a couple of college degrees, including an MBA. She has certifications from one of my favorite places, the ICD, which is the Institute for Chronic Disorganization. She also is the owner of Clever Girl Organizing, and she has a book out that's really, really good. I always say this all the time: run, don't walk. Get this book, because a lot of us out there have a hard time letting go of stuff, and there are reasons behind our feelings and actions behind that, and we're going to talk about that. She'll tell you, she maps it out in this book. We're going to talk about it. The book's called Clever Girl's Guide to Living with Less, and I'm very happy to have her on the show, Miss Kathy Vines. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you so much for that great introduction.
You're welcome. You can just take that with you anywhere you go and say, this is what James Lott Jr. did for me. This was great.
I will.
Now, so people know what I do all the time. I do my thanks and gratitude. Before I do any show, that's why I start. I believe you should live in gratitude and give thanks out loud. Now I'm going to try to get through this because it's a little. I'm sorry, Miss Kathy, but I have two very important things to kind of say. I'm going to try to get through this. So there was no show last week because I had two major events happen in my life. Both were deaths in my life, and many of you guys know this already, but I'm going to give my thanks and gratitude to both of these individuals. One is my dog Scrabble. Last Tuesday he passed away, and it was a shocker, and he would have been 15 years old, so he had a long life, but it was a heart attack, and died with us at home. And it's anything about dogs and animals, because I always say we do not own our animals own us. I always say that. And he did own me. He was spoiled. He had attitude sometimes. Took a lot of my traits sometimes there too. But also very friendly and loving. He loved the ladies. He was all about the ladies. He did love them. He barked at everything. Oh my God. I always say he had little man syndrome because he was a small chihuahua. They just bark at everything. That's why all the time. If you walk down the street, he barked at you. If you lived across the street, he barked at you when you came in your house. But he was also very loving. When you were sick, he would be right there next to you. And whenever I came home, he was always ready to jump into my arms. And so, Scrabble, I love you. I miss you. And I live in gratitude that I had almost 15 years with you. Then the next day, as I'm trying to deal with his death, the next day I got the unfortunate phone call. My grandmother Susie died. So as many of you know, one death is enough, two is overwhelming. And many of you on this program, I've mentioned my Grandma Susie many times. She was in New York. She lived in Brooklyn, Park Slope, Prospect Park area. And I just saw her in January. I was there for Christmas in December. I saw her in January. And she died of a heart attack also. So that was also an unexpected thing. She wasn't sick or anything. So it was kind of I know she lived a long life also. And I live in gratitude that a person myself who's close to 50 years old had his grandmother for most of his 50 years. She was not just my grandmother, she was my friend. And we did a lot together. And I just miss her every day so far. And we just like watching competition shows all together all the time. HGTV. She was so happy I was an organizer. She thought that was a really cool thing that I would go to people's houses and organize. She would let me organize a couple of times at her house, not too much, because I was her grandson. She was like old fashioned, like you don't do the house stuff. And I'm like, well, men organize. But she was completely just one of the nicest people you could even imagine, and I miss her. And right now we're in the middle of all of her funeral arrangements and everything. But the 1-2 punch last week was very hard for me. But I just want to tell everybody who's been out there in the organized community, you guys have been so wonderful, been sending me great messages and texts and tweets. And it's been so nice. The village, you guys are the village. You guys have come to help me stay afloat. Also, last Monday was the anniversary of my brother's death from a year ago. And he had died of a heart attack at 47. And so I was feeling all 3 deaths this last week and a half or so. And today I was like, should I do a show? Can I come back to work, so to speak? Can I do this? And I felt like all 3 of them were like, yes, James, it's okay. Because you love doing the show. You've been doing it for almost 3 years. And you have a great guest. And her name is Kathy Vines. And you have a great conversation. And I live in gratitude of that. And I live in gratitude of Kathy being on today. And thank you very much for you guys who have listened to my 118 episodes of this show. I live in gratitude for that. So thank you. Also, my hearts go out to all of the hurricane victims that are happening right now with all the stuff crazy there too. So I want to get that out also. Okay, I got through it. Hello, Miss Kathy.
Hello. That was really lovely. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you. I try to, I feel like we're all one community, and this actually kind of ties into what we're going to talk about today because there are a lot of emotional and stuff like this happens, especially. People will hold on to stuff because they miss their loved ones or they miss their dog like a lot of things can happen. So we're going to talk about that even more in depth with you. So I think it kind of, in an odd way, it kind of ties together with letting go of stuff. Luckily for me, I don't have her stuff, so I don't, Go ahead.
I was going to say, I was thinking about that as you were doing your lovely tributes, and I'm like, wow, this is a timely tie-in to some of the principles in my book, for sure.
Well, Kathy, I believe there are no coincidences. So, this was meant to happen this time, my first show back. It was meant to happen. So I believe that completely. Okay, so first, I want to congratulate you because you gave birth. You gave birth to a book, which, as you could tell viewers and listeners, because I have books out too, it's giving birth, isn't it?
It is. It was a labor of probably longer than a human labor. On and off, but I have to say, like I'm someone who's good at building and architecting and creating, and so just having the book out and getting it across that finishing line was tremendous. And then I kind of sat there with this pile of books and said, so now what? So that's been the harder part. Giving birth was easy. Raising it is tougher.
Okay, and I've raised 2 children, 2 girls. I completely understand. I didn't give birth, of course, but raising girls was really hard. I like that analogy. So so here's the deal. So I want to give people kind of a background because I listed your 10,000 credits and how you are qualified to talk about this stuff. But I want to know if there's more in depth about the book process. Did you have an idea concept first, or did you have a title first? Or how'd that work when you first just got this idea came up?
Yeah, thanks for asking that, because it's part of what I love about this book is it was pretty much like molding Jell-O at first. I knew that I wanted to write a book, and I knew that I had blogged quite a bit and about lots of different things. And I thought that my book would just kind of naturally come out of things I'd already blogged about.
Okay.
And so I was copying and pasting different blogs into a Word document to see what kind of life that they could give together. And it took a while before I realized, yeah, this is 2 books. This isn't one book. This is 2 books. I had a lot of things about what this book ended up being about, the psychological and emotional barriers to letting things go.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of things about time management and productivity, which is a huge passion for me.
Yes, it is.
And mushing them all together and trying to figure out how does this become a book, it was like Frankenstein's monster. And I had to just kind of let it sit a little bit and then strip those 2 apart. Once I stripped them apart into kind of 2 separate manuscripts, suddenly it was like, when you prune the plant and the plant finally starts to grow
Yes,
and you got
yes,
all the
yes.
leaves out of it. That's how it really started for me, was just being able to see that, just like a good organizer, sorting like with like, and
Oh, funny.
seeing with it. I will tell you, you asked about the title. The title, man, that was hard. I struggled with the title for a long time, and then at one point in time, probably maybe 3 months before I published it, Clever Girl's Guide to Living with Less kind of sat with me for a bit, and I said, I like it, but I don't know that I love it. I need to think on this a little bit. And after a little while, and after people were saying, "Oh, what's the title of your book?" and you have to tell them something, after a while, I kind of just fell in love with it and suddenly couldn't imagine it being named anything else.
You said several things I want to touch upon. One, you basically you endorse what organizers, what we do, saying you kind of learn, you had to do things like, so it's kind of funny that it's in all areas of life, some of the principles of organizing applies, and that applied for your book. Number two, that things were born out of, there were two manuscripts that came out of this, which is wonderful. I mean, it's two different books. They can be both helpful. That's great. Number three, because the Clever Girl, because that Clever Girl is your brand anyway, so it kind of fits with that. But also, it sounds smart. It just sounds like it's a great title for you. But it sounds smart. Like, the Clever Girl is going to help you kind of learn how to, kind of guide you on how to live with less. Like, it's kind of like gently helping you along, not telling you what to do or screaming at you. It sounds nice. It sounds inviting.
Good.
It does. Because some books are like, do it this way and you'll live great. Like, some of those you can't believe those. This sounds like it'd be, oh, this is a cool guy. Let me see how this is. And then you pick it up and you start reading and you realize it could work for me. I should apply some of these things, or this is me. I can tell this is me in those statements, and I think that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the best pieces of feedback I've gotten from someone that I really loved is, this whole book, you didn't tell me what to do, but yet I learned everything I needed to do anyway.
See, I like that.
And I love that sentence that people aren't looking at this book as it's your way, or no way, or you're just saying this is always how you need to approach this. My hope is that everybody who reads this book and finds themselves in there, especially the struggles about the things that they know that they should be, or think deep down that they should be letting go of, but they haven't been able to do it, that it's not about just here are the rules and follow them. You should be developing your own guidelines for what's important to you, and that's what I hope my book helps to facilitate for people, the awareness and the criteria.
I think, well, as I read the book, I think you achieved that. Number two, that's my MO. I'm not a person who tells people what to do. If you watch any of my TV shows or my radio shows here or my blogs, I'm always inviting you to think a different way. I'm always inviting you to look at something in a way that I'm suggesting possibly. But yes, it's up to you to decide what's your way or not. And that's why I liked your book, because it doesn't tell me, if you do it these two ways. There was one book that was, when they suggest your books, there's like another book out there. It was like, here are 3 ways to organize your life and you'll be great. I'm like, that's like, when there's no one size fits all to me, I guess. I mean, and I kind of skimmed through the book, and it was like, it didn't really address certain things that were relatable. And I was just like, I mean, your book's relatable. There's things that are relatable. It's like, that's what people will respond to and will buy your book. And tell people to buy your book if they can relate to it. And I think your book does that. So you are you say a lot of your stuff, you're a productivity specialist. Can you explain for folks who are not in the business what exactly that means? Excuse me.
I think of the best way that I can talk about being a productivity specialist is I tell people about time management, productivity. I find time management is the art of completing everything you need to get done.
Yes.
So that you can get to the things you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And productivity is the science behind that. It's the systems. Mm-hmm. It's the techniques. It's the infrastructure. It's your habits. It's all of the things that help bring that art to life. So when I work with people, especially a lot of my corporate clients, my executive clients, and they're in that I'm too busy to get anything done. I'm kind of feeling like I'm failing. It always comes from a place of feeling like I can't do it on my own. I need I need somebody else's eyes in this. It always, for me, starts with prioritization and working with people around prioritization, because I really think that's the biggest muscle that you use when you're trying to work with productivity and time management consulting. So for me, when I'm working with clients on the productivity consultant time, we're doing a lot of the same things that I might do with my book, right? Talking about prioritization, the emotions, the psychology. Why aren't you getting to certain things? Why do you procrastinate? What do you typically use as your go-to procrastinator task? And what are the kinds of things that aren't getting done on a pattern? I really try and help people find their own patterns, because I find often people are too close to their stress, too close to their day-to-day life to see and understand their own patterns. And I like to bring awareness to that and help people figure out how to either interrupt their patterns or establish new ones.
Well, it's funny, the word productivity is being used more and more now. Obviously, NAPO changed their name, part of their name. I mean, it's a word that's being used. Why do you think it's just because the language changing to productivity?
Why do I think it's changing?
Yeah, like how it's evolving. Because like people are saying, like some people are saying, like declutter less and less. And I've heard the word edit. Like there's certain words that are kind of coming up now as we evolve in this business. This is what, 25, 30 years old as it's evolving. But I've noticed in productivity that word's being used more and more.
Yeah, I think certainly productivity gets used more and more because that's our lives, is having to be asked to do more and more. And we still just get the 24 hours every day, and we figured out that we can't work on no sleep. And we figured out that we don't always make good decisions when our systems and our bodies aren't in great space. So productivity is about keeping up with more and more and more. And I actually think that part of the key to figuring out your productivity is figuring out actually how to do less, not how to do more.
I agree with that.
And I think that is a bit more of that trend that will come, where productivity used to be, you remember the best quote that people quoted, work smarter, not harder.
Yes.
Like that's, I think, part of the core of productivity is what are you doing to get things done. But really, I think there's so much more of a revisit to productivity, again, not just being about how am I doing more with less time, it's how am I even doing less? How am I getting better at saying no to things? How am I getting better at just staying with the core and knowing when good is good enough?
Well, I'm reading more and more nowadays that they're saying you shouldn't multitask anymore. Remember in the old days it was like multitask. You could do more, you could do more better, like you just said, in less time. You could do 5 things at once. But I guess they're finally learning that when you do 5 things at once, you're not doing anything really that well. Like all 5 things are being done probably at just minimum level, and not at their maximum.
If they're getting completed at all,
right?
But, or there's 5 things that got stopped and then stopped midway and never really revisited, and so you have unfinished projects and unfinished tasks and unfinished browser tabs in your brain.
Yes.
All the things you stopped but forgot to go back to.
Yeah. Oh God. Yes. That's a great analogy there. I'll do that. Yeah, and I'm also noticing besides the the stop doing that, and that we can't. The whole thing of the pride of I've only had 2 hours sleep. I only get 3 hours sleep. I only get 4 hours sleep. That's finally going. I'm so glad that's finally going away. I'm here in LA, especially the whole crazy busy syndrome bugs the crap out of me. And this whole pride of, well, I only sleep 4 hours. All I need is 4 hours. I tell people I get my 7 hours, 7, 8 hours mostly. I'm sorry, I sleep. I like to sleep, and I enjoy it. But I know that I'm a better person, and I get work done really well when I get sleep.
Yeah, I think it's just like having a car. You can't keep driving a car if it doesn't have any gas. You shouldn't be proud of the fact that you were able to figure out how much past empty you got your tank. Because eventually you figured out it was 1 mile past the gas station, and now you're in a problem.
Right. Or folks who, back in the old days, would drive, okay, my car, I'm on E, but I can go on fumes.
I know my car.
What?
But I know my car.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, inevitably, we got stuck somewhere. At some point, it did happen where we were stuck. And I'm like, this, and you've done this for years, but it always comes around. I feel like that's how life is.
And that's what I think about with energy and sleep and investing in yourself is you're going to run out. And I work with a lot of my clients. I talk about the fact that we have kind of 3 currencies. money, and we have energy.
Yes.
And, time is whether that's how you spend the hour or how you spend the decade. Money is everything from, your pocket change to your how you're planning for your future and your investments and your real estate. And energy is, of course, not only your natural fuel, but your emotions, your stress, your relationships with others. And ultimately, the choices you make during the day, what you invest in one, what you spend down in one, you might save in another. So I'm always looking to help people do trade-offs, saying, all right, if this is really causing stress and depleting your energy bucket, where can we offset that with time or money? Like, how do we get your system back in equilibrium? Because you can't deplete all three buckets. You've got nothing left to build them back with.
I love you said the three currencies. I'm gonna say it out loud because I want people to hear that. And it's time, money, and energy. I like that. Those are the three currencies. I love that. So I've heard something similar, but I've never heard it put that way. I like that. That's good, because that's very true. But I'm liking that we're starting to kind of get into that groove of like, okay, slow it all down. Sometimes small steps are good steps, as long as you can just get that. That's always my motto. As long as you get stuff done and it's done well, and you can change habits, it's fine. But it's hard. Can you do everything? I gotta get out. It's like, no, you don't want to fill the 24 hours. You can't fill the 24 hours. That's just not really a good thing to do. Now I want to talk about, I think you have 8 most common psychological, emotional barriers of letting go. Letting go is hard, isn't it, for a lot of people? I know some people who are very emotionless about things, like, just throw it out, I don't care. But for 95% of people that I've worked with, it is hard, isn't it?
It is. And I think even the people who say, throw it out, I don't care, there's probably a few categories in their life they really, really do care about. You're not seeing them.
Okay. I can believe that. I can believe that. Because I have some clients where they really, especially a lot of my my clients who are change of life. That was one of my major things. And meaning widowhood, divorce, adult children leaving. Children leaving home, becoming adults, retirement. There's a lot of that of like, I want to hold on to so and so stuff just in case she wants it one day, and the kids are like, I don't want it anymore, throw it out. Or yes, like I said, for me, someone dies, and you're like, I want to keep everything as it is. I don't want to get rid of none of it, because if I get rid of it, and which we'll get into that a little bit, it will mean something that's not in your brain good. So let's talk about some of those cycles, because I want people to read the book, so you'll get the whole picture. But let's talk about some of the common barriers that are hard to letting go.
I think. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think the 8 that I have in here, I have really culled from work that I do with my clients of what the most common ones are. I'm sure there's other ones I didn't include in here, but they're the ones that even the best of us can find that we've said them out loud every once in a while too. Yeah,
and it's true. So let's start with one of them. So pick one of out of those that one of the barriers. Let's talk about that.
One of my favorite is, I call it purposeless practicality, which is fancy for when somebody says, but this is still good.
Oh, yeah. So, okay, say that title again, what you called again?
Sure. Purposeless practicality.
Purposeless practicality.
It's an item that has practical value, as it is, but in your life, it has no purpose. In your home, it has no purpose. So it can be everything from, well, I kept losing spatulas, so I kept buying new ones, and now I found all the spatulas. Okay, great. Well, you need 6 spatulas. Well, these are still good.
Yeah.
Yep, they are still good. And when somebody says, but these are still good, it can be an instant barrier that goes up. It's hard for them to consider, why would I let go of something that's still good, that could still work, that could still serve me, even if my current life doesn't require it. And one of the key topics I talk about in the book is this really brings to life the difference between status quo possession and purposeful possession.
Okay.
Status quo is, well, if it's broken or it's out of date or it's really not working for me anymore, well, then I'll get rid of it. But if there's no good reason to get rid of it, then I should just keep it, right? The only reason letting go of something happens is because you find a good reason to and not have it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
The opposite of that is the purposeful possession, which is I understand why I'm keeping it, and I have a good reason to keep it going forward. So instead of status quo possession, which is I'm only going to find the things I'm going to get rid of, this is more hunting for I'm only going to keep the things that I can truly say have a value and a purpose in my future.
Mm.
And so this purposeless practicality and looking at something saying, but this is still good, it allows you to say, sure, but are you keeping it just because you don't have a reason to let go of it? Or are you keeping it because you do have a reason to keep it? And it puts the item on the defensive to have to validate its existence in your house other than, but I still work.
Ah, yeah, you're right. Interesting. That's it. That whole thing about it's still. I actually had a client the other day. I've been doing a little more organizing recently. I do a lot more media stuff. I'm doing some organizing again because I love doing it. And I did have someone go, well, these set of tongs. I'm like, well, I mean, they look really old. They've been out in the garage, and I mean, well, can we clean them up a little bit and maybe? And they still grab things.
But they still do what tongs are.
What they're supposed to do.
Right.
Yes.
Nobody's denying that the tongs are still tongs.
Right. Yes. There's tongs are still tongs. Like there's still tongs. So but you're right. It's very. I forgot about that whole thing. I'm just this still works. Interesting. So okay. So let's going with that. What are some of the things that you suggest helping them get through that, and then maybe letting that thing go, letting the tongs go? What is a suggestion?
So one of the things I will always talk about with people so tell me about how you've used it and tell me how you plan to use it in the future, right? So show me about that. And then let's talk about some other things like, do you own something else that can do that job? Is this something is that scenario you just imagined in your head where you might use it is that likely to come true? If you didn't have it, could you borrow it? Could you rent it? Are there other ways for you to access this item that still works for you now? And ultimately, if it's because you have multiples of things, I always want to remind somebody, because they've hired me to come in and talk to them, saying, you brought me in here to achieve some goals. And, if you said your kitchen is really overwhelming and this utensil drawer is driving you crazy, tell me about how keeping those tongs helps meet that goal of making your utensil drawer make you less crazy.
Mm.
When you're always rooting it in the goals of what you're trying to achieve in that space or what you're trying to achieve in that category, it can be hard to defend that item when you're resetting it against the goals.
Yeah. So you're putting the onus is back on them because it is their item. Like you're not there to tell them what to do. It's their item. So you're kind of bringing it back to them and saying, okay, you want to keep this now. This has achieved what you want. I mean, but you also want this done. So like you have X, but you want Y done. Does it mix? Like, does it work? I like that.
And, and sometimes you'll find somebody who says, yeah, you know what, this one isn't a problem. But then it's a little easier because then they move on to something else and say, okay, yeah, but this compared to the tongs, this definitely isn't as important as the tongs. Like, it starts to put things in relative perspective to each other.
Mm-hmm. It does. That's really interesting. What is that? And what's one other thing? So let's just pick another thing that people have a hard time with letting go.
I think when somebody has I could get money for this.
Oh my God! Yes, that's another. Yes.
Yeah. So I call that chapter "Recoup the Cost." So if that's the point in time where somebody actually has decided, I could let go of this. I'm open to it. But now their inner negotiator has stepped up to the plate and has said, yeah, I'll let it go if you make it worth my while, right? So you start thinking, well, I could get money for this. I could sell it. Somebody's going to want it. This is really valuable. I've been working on this collection for years. Whatever the answer is. When that comes up, I try and, again, address with practicality a little bit of that situation. The first question I always ask somebody is, they say, oh, I can get money for this thing. How do you know? Have you looked at the market lately for how much something like this in this condition would go for? And sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. And then I move on a little bit more in terms of what it would take for them. So where would you sell this? Is this something you would have to sell online? Is this something you have to bring to an auction? Do you need to locate a resource as a specialist in this? Often people are thinking, they're going to say, oh, eBay. It's what everybody, the answer everybody gives.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Do you know how to list things on eBay? Is this something you know how to do? No. Okay. Well, is this something you're going to learn how to do? Are you going to pay somebody else? Now we're going to eat into your imaginary profits. Are you going to pay somebody else to sell this for you? Sometimes people say, oh, well, I'll just, I've got a local Facebook group. Okay, or I'll put it on Craigslist. All right, do you have the time in your life genuinely to wait around for the 3 people who said they were going to show up on Saturday to come take a look at this? When you start bringing the realities of what getting money for this involves and really takes from them, it's literally robbing them of the investment, right? They think it's worth money, but again, with my 3 currencies, the time and the money and the energy, they think they're going to grow their money bucket, but they don't see what it's going to cost in their time and their energy bucket to do it.
God, that's so true. That's so true. And the thing is, people always think they're gonna make lots of money too. Like they think that their items are worth more than they may be. And I've had a few clients where we did have a yard sale, garage sale, and they didn't get as much, and they were disappointed. But I always try to tell them, but look, you still got out the house, and this is really great, and but it's like there's this whole sometimes disparity of kind of like what they think they're gonna get for what they're really gonna get.
Especially when I have a yard sale client, I like to ask them. I don't ask them to give me the number, but I tell them, figure out your mortgage or figure out what this house is worth, and then divide that by your square footage. Because now you know how much you're paying each month for every square foot in your house. How much square footage did you just get back by donating all of this stuff or selling all this stuff at the yard sale? I know it doesn't feel like cash in your pocket, but it does translate to your bottom line.
That's good. I like that. I'm not sitting there thinking about that. I'm like, wow, because I was just thinking. Actually, I had a client yesterday where they were so excited that they got half a room back.
Yeah, right.
And so, but that like goes into your whole square footage thing. But like, just basically, we looked at it just as a whole. It's like she goes, I got half my room back. She goes, I don't know what to do with it now. Because I could do anything. It's like, yes, you can.
Right, and it isn't so much. Oh, good, I can put new stuff in it.
Right.
So for some people, that's that can be an amazing thing, right? If you end up saying, well, my parents are downsizing. They want to give me their dining room set, but I haven't had room for it, and I really want it. Now I do. Okay,
yes.
That's great. Like now you can bring new things in. For some people, it is the clutter and the stress and everything in their room that is overwhelming them. That for them, there's actually value in just having half an empty room, right? That's the bonus.
Yeah, I had a client who an entryway. When I first walked in, there was like bookcases on each side and just all this stuff. And once they were kind of like, no, I don't want to take it out. And we took some time. We got rid of it, moved it somewhere else. And I came back a couple months later, and they're like, I'm so glad we did that. And there's nothing there. They didn't put anything. Because I don't even want to put a picture up over there. I don't want to do nothing over there. I like that I walk into my house, and there's no obstruction.
Yeah.
Like at first, they're just like they couldn't see it without it. But now they're so happy. They don't want to put a mirror up on the wall. They don't want to do anything. They want to keep it just so open. They're so excited. And I was like, yes. I said, you get it. Like, so you totally get it.
And that's part of, for me, living with less. And the whole part of the book is if you're able to walk into a space and you love how it makes you feel, even if there's nothing in it, then you're doing it right.
So okay. So here. Let's change gears for a second because just in general, living with less, some people hear that and they start thinking, well, you're trying to make me a minimalist, or you're trying to make me get rid of all my crap, what are you trying to do? But that's not what you're trying to do. You're saying, tell me what you're saying in general about living with less, what your philosophy is.
I think it really starts with the idea that you've already come to a conclusion, or you're gradually coming to the conclusion that your life, your home is your space, your day is too full, and it's too cluttered, and it's causing too much stress, and you're ready to live with less of all of that. Often, the gateway to that is your stuff. again, with my productivity clients, it's probably more their tasks or their to-dos or their obligations.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea of saying, I want to live with less, but I want to live with less stress, with less overwhelm, with just, in some places, it's impacting your health, less health issues. And by letting go of some of the things that surround you, the clutter, the things that fill your space, that cause you to have to maintain and clean and upkeep, the things you don't like and don't use, you're dusting. All of that is part of their journey to live with less. It's not about being minimalist. I think minimalism is the right answer for a lot of people. This is about being able to look around your house and say, this all suits me, it's not overwhelming me, I don't feel stressed. I don't avoid entire rooms just because I don't like looking in them, right? How many clients have you had that are like that, saying, oh, that's the back room, we don't even go in there anymore?
Yes,
right?
yes. Mm-hmm.
That never makes somebody feel great about their home and the way they live in it.
That's so true. And as we were saying a little bit, some of the reasons behind things are very psychological. And I want to all the time, we come in, we're not therapists, we're not, some people are trained, like I'm a certified life coach, but I'm not a therapist, not a psychologist, but we are in people's spaces. And so we have to be really in tune and present for each of our clients and be ready for when things come up and how to handle them. Because a lot of times it's not the act of, organizing is part of it, but it's all the stuff behind it. They didn't just become disorganized out of nowhere or cluttered out of nowhere. There's a reason why it happened, correct?
Yeah, I tell people that 95% of my job is about the coaching and 5% of the stuff. It's really not about organizing, at least not the way I interact with my clients. I work side by side with clients. I don't organize on their behalf. I don't do any of that kind of involvement. But one of the things I've talked about in the book is, for a lot of people, their attachments to stuff are rooted in one of two places. Either what their life used to be or what they imagine their life would be. And those involve, and there's stuff, there's items, there's furniture, there's possessions that really anchor them in either of those visions. And so often the idea of figuring out how to let go of an item really means untangling their attachment to those visions. So, the person who's got the closet full of suits because they used to have a career where they wore suits, and quite frankly, they're romanticizing that part of their life and holding on to those suits makes them attached to that period. Or, the treadmill that you bought because you were definitely going to be healthier and you were definitely going to get in shape this year, now it probably just holds those old suits, right?
Yeah.
So, being able to say, where do you have these items in your life that actually represent these versions of identities, parallel identities that aren't your current identity? And it's not your stuff you're trying to separate from. It's really wrestling with that vision of that version of yourself. That's a big psychology moment working with those clients. Again, that's not about the item. That's about their identity and realizing what's kind of wrapped up in their home that way.
God, so you're so right. And it's so true. And I know for a lot of, I tell people all the time, I don't always work with hoarders, but I have worked with a few. A lot of people are just disorganized that I work with are disorganized. They just have a lot of stuff. Not necessarily hoarders, they just haven't gotten. They could be packed, or whatever words you want to use. But the ones that I have a lot of stuff that are on the hoarder side or are hoarders, I have noticed it's just this thing of where it's like it is part of their past. A lot of times it's their past, or like you said, or it's that I plan to one day put this somewhere, or I plan to one day wear this again. Yet they're not doing anything to get there, but it's like it becomes part of their life. I had one client that she was a bigger woman. I'm a big guy myself. That when she had a pathway, and so but stuff always got knocked over, and so as you went by, and I was just like, wow, if we could just get rid of these things on both sides, you can actually walk freer because you're bigger. I'm bigger. I'm knocking stuff over myself, but I watched how she got so used to walking a certain way that it just became part of her life. There was no thought about it actually. Just kind of like, That's what when I first. This was like one of my early times doing organizing, and I was really. I remember I recorded that in my brain. Like that's interesting. Your brain starts to work with the clutter.
Yeah, it's clutter blindness, and your whole body has adjusted to it.
Isn't that amazing? What your brain will tell you after. I mean, just how your brain will somewhat adjust, and then seemingly you're doing okay, but you're really not. So it's our jobs as organizers or psychologists where come in and say, okay, this isn't okay, but their brain is still thinking it's okay on some level, or they kind of know it's not okay, but they've learned to live with it.
They've learned to live with it. They've stopped noticing it.
Yes.
They've stopped questioning whether or not there's even an alternative possibility. They've just accepted it.
I'm glad you said that because that's something I wanted to bring up too. Is that people do. So this is an analogy that I use. I used to live on a busy street, and I lived like 2 floors up. People were like, "How do you live on this busy street?" I said, "After a while, you really don't hear the cars. You hear them occasionally, like hear a siren go down every once in a while. You hear it, but you don't. I live near LAX. I don't live on the direct flight path. My mother does. So I'm at her house. You hear the planes go sometimes. After a while, you kind of don't hear the planes. I mean, they're going every 10, 15 minutes. They're coming in for a landing, but you really don't hear them after a while. My brain starts to kind of forget about it, work around it. And I feel like that's the same analogy that we apply to living with disorganization and clutter. That after a while, it seems okay, but it really isn't. And it's funny how your brain just kind of turns that way. It's a really interesting concept that it happens.
And if you live by the airport and you have no other option to live anywhere else,
Right.
that's one thing. If you live in a home with clutter, you may have an option to live with less clutter. That part may be in your control if you're open to waking your brain up to pay attention to things a little differently than you've let it so far.
Mm-hmm. That's true. There is choice, and you're just choosing to go the other direction with it and not the way.
Right.
It's just, I mean, to me, I mean, psychology's I mean, I didn't go to, I mean, in college I took a couple of classes, but I find it very fascinating. And now that I used to be a nurse, so I know about that kind of psychology, about people's things. Doing organizing, I had no idea when I first started how psychological it was until I got in it.
I am so grateful for my psychology degree.
Yes, you have one, so yeah, you're good. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And so,
I knew when I was young, like elementary school, that I would end up in psychology in some way because I really understood even then that I enjoyed figuring out or learning about what made people tick, what made them do things, and what made them avoid things. That just always fascinated me watching human behavior, even at a really young age. So I find that I'm really steeped in it on a full-time basis now, the same thing that I loved 40-something years ago.
Yeah.
About how people fascinate me.
well, like I said, me being a nurse, I was a geriatric nurse, so I was able to learn how to approach older people, their families. So I found that came in handy with this business too. I really had no idea. I just want to ask you, when did you know this was a business for you? When did you know that you could make money off of this as the business? Because I didn't really know until right before I started.
Yeah, I started my business about 4.5 years ago, and I tell people that it took me 2 years to realize. No, it took 2 years for it to actually be well established enough that it could be a business, and it took me another 6 months to trust it. Right?
Yeah.
I kept thinking, oh no, this was a good month. Maybe it was a fluke. Maybe it was a fluke. I don't know. Could just be spring cleaning. Who knows? It took me 6 months after having an established pattern to be like, no, this is really a thing. And I do career coaching as well, career strategies. Yeah. So I'm able to add that to my day, right? My organizing clients want to work at 10 in the morning, but my career coaching clients want to talk at 7 because their boss isn't in the office yet.
Yep, I know how it is.
Me to be able to blend things that I love doing and helping people move their life forward really started coming together, saying, my business, Clever Girl Organizing, isn't just about going into people's homes and helping them one room at a time. It's about helping a lot of people remove their barriers. It's It's the organizing, it's the coaching, it's the public speaking. I love doing trainings and speakings and doing kind of one-to-many trainings. It's the book. It's all of these things kind of coming together. And so I think that was important for me to recognize that, to say this is a full-time business that I can make money at. It wasn't just about one appointment at a time. It was a bigger mission.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I as well say, well, as you know, I do a lot of different things also. But it's funny, I just didn't know that, because this is still a relatively young industry. I say now it's a millennial, so to speak. It's like it's in its early 30s. But I didn't know. I really didn't know. I started 10 years ago. I'll be 10 years next year. That I started, and I just didn't. And when someone told me, like, you have a business, I started saying I like organizing, I like filing, I like helping with people, I like customer service, I like personal service. So, like, you have a business? I'm like, I do. People know my story. This is my first episode, I tell my story, the whole thing. But it's just like, I just really thought, oh, there's a business here. So I like to ask other people, because this is not something you don't grow up and say, I want to be an organizer, or I want to be a productivity specialist, or I want to be a speaker on the, we don't grow up that way. You just we've all come from other areas. And like I said, you have an MBA, you come from psychology, but yet I find all of us, and you can also back me up on this, everything we've done before does work in this industry.
Oh, absolutely. My 20 years in corporate human resources, coaching people for better performance in their jobs, is I use that every day in this business, every single day.
Isn't that amazing? Again, something that organizing, life coaching, all this stuff, this is stuff that really is important to. I always say this is one of the few industries I think everybody can use, no matter what. It's all the way from small kids to old people, no matter what race, no matter what gender. It's one of those things that I feel like this is something that everyone, they can learn how to manage their lives and their time and how they do things. This life is better, isn't it?
From your mouth to God's ears.
Yes.
We all serve everyone in the capacity they need it.
I'm the same way. I was like, and that's why I love doing this show, because I can be able to talk to people louder. Okay, so I want to ask you just your opinion on to other organizers when it comes to helping clients let go of stuff. Are there a couple of things you think organizers should come with when it comes to dealing with people who are having a hard time letting go of items?
Well, this is going to sound like a strong statement, and I'm sure there are some organizers who might not love this, but I'm a big fan that I don't go into working with somebody with any opinions about what they should value.
Okay.
Right. I don't set rules for people. I don't look at things. Even when I'm working with somebody in their spice drawer and something's 3 years expired, my question to them is, tell me how you feel about using expired spices. Not, well, this is expired, so you should toss it. Right? I don't come in, or even if I do come in, I certainly don't express that my opinions are part of how they should be making decisions. So if I'm an organizer, or if I were talking to organizers about the number one thing they should be bringing when working with a client about letting go is bringing a complete lack of judgment and opinion about what somebody else should value.
I like that. That's me. I like that. I like that a lot. That to me, that's the same thing. I feel like, I always feel like, and again, these are our opinions of our own, are ours. And I have no problem saying certain things because it's my show. But I feel like for me, when I come out, because in my business, my motto and everything I say, and my signage, everything is non-judgmental is part of the things in there. That's one of the words. That word, out of all, I have trustworthy and all stuff. The word non-judgmental got me through the door more than any other word I used.
I'm sure.
And go ahead.
And there's a lot of trust in that word, right? You can say I'm non-judgmental, but that person still has to take a leap of faith.
Yes. That
you're going to live up to that.
Yes. And I found that when I did come in, I showed them, like you said, I agree with you 100,000%. I come in, this is your stuff. I would tell people sometimes too, don't worry, I'm going to respect your stuff. And I remember I had a couple of people, I was like, why would you say, it's kind of a weird thing to say. I said, no, not a weird thing to say, because I mean, their stuff is there. There's theirs. They own it. You're coming into their space. So for me, I'm not saying not only I'm gonna respect you, but I'm gonna respect your stuff. That means when I touch it, when I look at it, I'm not gonna judge it. I'm not going to, toss it behind your back. It's gonna be your decision what's done with this. But like you said, I'm always going to keep you accountable with what you say you want to have, your goals, what you want to happen. And like you said, if it fits those two things. But I will come in, and that's your, if you want to keep that dirty, dusty dustpan that was your great-grandmother's in the 20s, then we'll keep it. My life,
Yeah.
I went to life coaching school and I got certified. And my trainer, shout out to Lori Cameron, love you to death. She said something to me that was so releasing. She was like, okay, you're a life coach, you're an organizer, whatever, but here's the deal. You're off the hook. When it comes to the outcomes, when it comes to what they want, you're off the hook. It's their life.
Yeah.
You're not there to tell them what to do. You're there to assist them to get them to have their best life. Whatever they decide, it's really up to them. Because when you leave the house or leave the office or leave the garage, your life continues. And so does theirs. So what she said, it was kind of like, I love that. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think one of my comments, I like to think that I'm a funny person. I hope I try and bring humor in.
Yeah, you're good.
Especially when you're you're in trusting situations and people are dealing with shame, and I want to bring in some levity and all that. But people will ask like, well, do I have to get rid of this thing? And my number one answer is usually, I don't know. This isn't my house. It's your house.
Right.
I don't live here.
Right.
And it's putting it back on them, saying this is your space to decide.
Mm-hmm.
This is I'm not going to tell you what that is. This is your space. Your decisions are what matter here. I'm here to support you making good decisions in the intention of which you expressed to me in the first place you wanted to achieve.
Yes, 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 yes. What? Yes. Exactly. You're speaking my language. Well, she's a good organizer, folks. She is speaking. Your style is very much like mine. I love that style. I just think it's just because it's yours. It's not mine. I mean, you want to keep it, we'll keep it. We'll try to find a spot for it. And if we don't, this happened to me several times about you. There are times when we want to keep something and we couldn't find a spot for it. After all, like just a spot that would work, and they ended up getting rid of it. They rethought it. And they worked through the process, and they kind of processed it themselves, and said, okay, you know what? I'm going to let that go.
I love it when somebody goes back to something
Me too.
that they thought they were keeping, and they're like, yeah, no, I'm going to toss that. I'll be like, oh, well, earlier that one seemed important to me. Yeah, it's not important to me any now. Okay.
Exactly. I love that. Plus, they came to it themselves. It's their conclusion. So, I mean,
They have to process.
Yes.
They have to process on their own. While so many of us who are in the organizing space, and people even who aren't, might be really good at making quick decisions, quick evaluation, take quick action. Lots of people need time to process, especially when it comes to letting go. Something that they've had for a long time. It gets stickier by the moment, the longer it stays in their home. So they have to process. And that's what I think this book, for me, has been about, is helping people guide them through the ability to process themselves.
I'm glad you said that, because that is a major thing, and this is one of the things we'll end on, of course. It's just that people process things at different levels, different lengths, and you're right. When something you've had a lot longer or has a really deeper meaning, whether it's important or not to the way you live your life today, it's still hard to get rid of it. And they need to be able to work the emotion. I think people cry on me, people get angry, but as they're processing it, love it, do it. Do what you have to do, get it done, because in the end, you can truly say you got rid of something and you were ready to get rid of it, right?
Love it.
Kathy, I can talk to you forever. I can talk to you forever and ever. You have to come back on the show. You just have to come back on the show again. That's how that has to happen, because you're really good. And I really enjoyed your book, and people should get the book, Clever Girl's Guide to Living with Less. You should go out and get it. It's on Amazon. Get it. On our Facebook page for this show, and on my Twitter page for this show, I have posted links. I'll post more links again to her Facebook page, to her website, to the book. So you guys need to get it, because it's a good read. Even if yourself, you don't have a problem with letting things go. I was gonna say, Kathy, I think people who have a family member or a parent, which is a family member, but you have a specific family member that you want to learn more about. If you're the one who's helping them, you're caregiving or helping them downsize, I think you should read this book, right?
I agree. I think this is great for people who are struggling, but it's also really great for people who are watching loved ones struggle.
Yes.
And they can't quite wrap their head around, why is this so hard for you? It would be really easy for me. Why don't you just let me help you and take care of all this? But they don't necessarily know the right way to give help just yet.
I decided yesterday I'm getting this book for somebody I know who needs it, who's helping somebody, and they're struggling with the helping part, and they don't want to hire an organizer. So okay, that's fine. You want to hire me? I'm your friend. That's fine. But I said here, I think I should get this book for that person so they can kind of see and read, and maybe it'll help them along in the process. With that person, because it's tough, people. It is tough. We're dealing with emotions, not necessarily the thing itself, but we're dealing with emotions, and emotions are tough, and they're varied, and they can be really broad or very seemingly narrow. And you have to be really careful with that. And I think we should always go into every situation that we do with love, care, and compassion, and non-judgment. We should, and I think so. Miss Kathy, where can they find you on social media platforms and on the onlines?
Thank you. CleverGirlOrganizing.com. I'm on Facebook at Clever Girl Organizing. I'm on Instagram at Clever Girl Organizing, and Twitter is CleverGirlOrg. And I also want to mention that I've got, so for Clever Girl's Guide to Living with Less, which is on Amazon in print and in Kindle, I also have a Goodreads giveaway going on right now until September 4th. So go on over to Goodreads and add it to your shelf and see if you get a chance to win a free copy.
Oh, wow. Okay, good. Okay, good reads. That's good to know. Very good. Kathy, I wish you all the success in the world, of course, as you go forward. I mean, you and I have talked for a while. You contacted me, and I'm so glad you did. And so, folks, okay, Super Organizer Show. That is on iTunes and Spreaker.com. This will be out a little later today if you're listening to it now. It'll be out. It's also, we have a Facebook page. We have a Twitter page. It's called the SOS_show, and the @ is implied, of course. You can follow me where all James Lott Juniors are sold at James Lott Jr. on all social media platforms. If you want to come on the show, contact me. Kathy can tell you I do answer all my messages. And if you have an idea or a book or an idea concept or just another organizer, I'd love to have you on the show because you guys are my village. I love this industry so much. I really, really do. And I said I'm coming on 10 years in this industry, and I love it. Shout out to NAPO. Shout out to NAPO New England. Let's give a shout out to them because you're a member of them, correct?
I am.
So let's give a shout out to them and all the hard work I'm sure you guys do out there in the New England area. I love New England. I love Massachusetts. I love Boston. I love the North End. I love Back Bay area. I love all that over there. I love visiting. I have friends in Danvers and Plum Island and all stuff. I love it out there.
Great.
And Newburyport. I actually did some work in Newburyport. I actually did organizing for a couple of clients out there. They hired me to come out. And
great.
And it was actually very. I love the New England. I love Connecticut. I love that whole area. It's just so much. So pretty. It's so pretty out there. And you guys, thanks for listening to the show. And I will talk to you next time.